Avete, fratris et sororis. And that includes everyone of any gender, all seven of them. I'm referring to you as a sibling in Latin. Don't be creeped out too much by the Latin. I know there's a lot of creepiness about Latin, but it's all meant to be, positive. And welcome. This is very honored Frater BT's Esoterinerd podcast. Okay, I'll break that down for you. Very honored in this context specifically refers to having attained the grade of 5 equals 6 in a more or less traditional Golden Dawn order. If that means nothing to you, then don't worry about it. Frater means brother. I'm male. And BT stands for Ben Tiferet, which is son of Tiferet. If that means nothing to you, then just keep listening. Maybe some of it will start making sense down the road. If you're curious about that intro music that I used, it was Japanese musician Susumu Ueda, together with the monks at Jofuku Temple. The theme of the fire element, the meditation on the element of fire. You can Google that and not find it. You can look on Amazon and iTunes and also not find it. If you would like a copy of the rest of that song, next time you are in Osaka, just take the Sakai Suju line towards Tengachaya. From there, take the Nankai Limited Express, Koya 3, towards Gokura Kubashi. And then at Gokura Kubashi Station, catch the Mount Koyasan cable car, which will take you up that last stretch of the mountain, and then you catch the bus there, and then just look at the map. It's one of the 14 stops, and go in to the temple and meet the monks and be overwhelmed by the beauty of Mount Koyasan at the heart of Japanese culture and esoteric Shingon Buddhism. And then on your way out at the gift shop, you can get a copy. For those of you who don't already know, this is the 5th podcast that I'm starting. The first is Edward Reeves' podcast. The second is the Coffee House and Interdimensional Odyssey. The third, Coffee and Fireworks. The fourth, Gwydion's Astral Podcast. The fifth is To Be a Yogi, or To Be Yogi, the number 2 and B hyphen Yogi. It's known by both names. And then, is that the 5th? Okay, so this is the 6th podcast. Very honored Frater BT's Esoterinerd podcast. Esoterinerd, of course, being a combination of the words esoteric and nerd. Esoteric meaning for the few. Well, since nerd means to be a specialist in something, and it's kind of a little bit redundant to say esoterinerd, but it's not, because the word esoteric has connotations of being magic or being mysticism or being, esotericism. Oh, it's very esoteric. It has multiple layers of meaning. And then nerd, as in, well, my peers were becoming other kinds of nerds in, programming, nerds in different things that are useful. I was becoming a nerd in esotericism. I was deeply into Wicca when I was a teenager, and then I delved into Golden Dawn and pretty much did that 24/7 for 18 and a half years. And then I left the group that I was with very gracefully. And it's been a couple of years since I've been out on the outside, and since then I've had the time and energy to turn my life around. I became a yoga instructor, and I've kind of gotten healthy. I've quit smoking, and I'm feeling pretty good. I'm being productive. I'm making podcasts clearly, and anyhow, let's move on, shall we? I made the announcement on Facebook that I was going to be doing this podcast, and I put a general announcement out to everyone that if they wanted to call, here's my phone number, and call at any time, and if I answer the phone, we're on the air. And so my ex-stepfather, 1993 was probably the last time I spoke to him, and so he saw the invitation, and he took it.
You've reached Edward Reeves' voicemail. I am unavailable at the moment, but please do leave a message, including your name, the reason for your call, and the best number to reach you. and I'll give you a call back as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Edward Reeb. This is Dennis Turkish, a voice, a name, and a person from another lifetime. And I am attempting to allow my spirit to flow in the present time with you and to wish you the very best of what the offer of the universe affords you, and that you receive it upon asking. Otherwise, known as a major component of science of mind. I hope to hear from you soon. I hope you're in the best of health, you and Janie both. Have a beautiful day, my friend. Take care. Bye-bye.
Good Samaritan Hospital, this is Sophie.
Hi, is Dennis Turkish available?
Let me transfer you to his extension. 1 second, please.
Thank you.
Good morning, this is Dennis Turkish.
Hi, Dennis Turkish. This is Edward Reeb.
Hey!
Hey, how's it going?
Brother, man! Oh, crazy. Wow.
How's it going?
I am having a time of my life.
That's great.
I finally grew up. I finally grew up on the outside. I'm never going to grow up inside, but I finally grew up and went back to school, many years of schooling. After 2 masters in human science, I became a marriage family therapist.
Nice.
Is that crazy or what?
So you're working at Good Samaritan Hospital there?
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I saw that. I saw the visual voicemail and I saw your name, and so I just hit the button, and then she answered Good Samaritan Hospital. I'm like, oh God, he's in the hospital. So I was like, is Dennis Turkish available? And she said, let me transfer you to his extension. And I'm thinking, his extension. Oh, right.
Number or
Yeah.
dead, you know.
So did you see are you calling into the podcast?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, then we're on the air.
Cool.
Awesome. You're our first guest. This is the first episode. And I guess I should introduce you. Everyone, this is my stepdad. Can I call you that, or ex-stepdad, or stepdad?
No. You call me your stepfather, and I always refer to you as my stepson.
All right.
The one that has gone above and beyond the physical world, okay, in the thought of mind. I do.
Thank you.
Well, you've earned it. I mean, that's who you are, right? I'm not making up anything, am I?
I don't think so. I mean, I've done my best, but here, wait, one sec. What, please? Oh, it's. You remember I downloaded that illegal software to record other people? Yeah. My wife Janie was asking, how are you recording? Yeah, so no, I've got it set up. It's really easy for podcasting because anytime I'm on the phone, I'm recording, and then I can, and then that way if I'm on the phone with a bill collector and they say, "Are you ready for your confirmation number?" I'm like, "Always." I'm like, anytime, just bring it on.
I confirm.
And then it clouds. As soon as I'm on a Wi-Fi, it clouds, and so, even if I drop my phone, I still have records of all my conversations, so it's kind of nice.
I love it. That's something I should do because my brain is no longer keeping record of everything that I do and see, so maybe I should have a cloud integrated into my neural system.
Maybe. I think that's next. I mean, I think that's probably within 50 or 60 years. That'll be like a non-joking, non-sci-fi thing. It'll be very much science reality.
Well, yeah, it will be our reality, and then we have to always ask the question, the Matrix.
Yeah. Or the Borg, yeah.
Exactly.
I've recently discovered artichoke extract.
Really?
It apparently, you know how Viagra, well maybe you don't know, but Viagra blocks the It's the PE. I think it's the PED4 enzyme, and that goes around munching up all the lowercase c, capital AMP, the stuff that it has a particular definition. I don't have it in front of me. It has like a bunch of bullet points of what it does, but basically it strengthens and allows the cells to grow and be tough and handle, for example, an electrical surge better and have a better infrastructure. I mean, that's in the case of the brain, but it works all throughout the body. And PED4, or whatever it is, its specific function is to go around and get rid of all the excess camp in the male genital region. And so when you're aroused and then your grandma walks in, it goes away because you're not actively, maintaining it. But if you have something inhibiting the PED4 enzyme, then your grandma walks in, it doesn't go away.
Right.
And so the PED5 enzyme does the exact same thing in the brain. And so if you get really interested in something, or if you're in a foreign land, or you're in love, or whatever it is, then you get all this extra camp. But then when you get bored, something starts. You hear the song you've heard 1,000 times. Then the PED5 kicks in and gets rid of all the excess, and then you're not really forming new brain cells. You're sort of bored, and the brain is a lower function. Well, this is the Viagra for the brain. So you can actually focus on. I spent an entire day researching Bitcoin without a break. Yeah.
I believe you.
Yeah, it's great. It's good stuff. So I recommend that I've been listening to this podcast called Smart Drug Smarts, and getting into natural ways to improve brain function. And
I am all for the holistic Eastern medicine approach. I mean, I've allowed myself to open up the spectrum of possibilities, because of my own philosophical belief system, but I bring it down to earth with respect of what you're just speaking about, to investigate that, and to take something that you wouldn't normally look at or consider and say, can it be possible? Would it be possible? And why not would it be possible? And so forth.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm at with things now in life. I just, let's see, what number am I at right now? Number 10. Okay?
Yeah.
Number 10.
Well, but the last one didn't end in divorce, though, so.
No, Edward, that was number 9.
Yeah.
But I went into number 10, by the way, this last year.
Well, but number 10, it's not like, another one, it's like, oh, wow, okay, well, glad you're okay, like that number 9 was rough,
Yeah. And it was so comical. She had such a wild sense of humor. She was beautifully bipolar as I am, And so for the wedding march, we got married in the Masonic Hall in the, whatchamacallit, I'm a Mason now, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So we got married inside of the shrine, as it were, where we all normally assemble. And, not Judy, but Carla says, since I'm number 9, I don't want the traditional marriage march or the wedding march, right?
Mm-hmm.
We played the Beatles, number 9, number 9, number 9.
Oh.
We did this, okay?
Did anyone laugh?
The older folks didn't get it, but people my age on down,
that's good.
right on target, knew me, and they were laughing off of their asses. Okay?
That's funny.
Yeah.
On a semi-related note, if you Google Revolution number 9.5 weeks, it's a sort of wordplay by a musician named Cosmo Topper, and he had me do the music video. So
really?
So if you look that up, I did the music video.
Okay, what number 9, 9.5?
It's Revolution number 9.5 weeks.
And a half weeks.
Yeah. So and a half is like just the 1/2. At least the way I wrote it when I put the video up, but.
How frickin' genius. Oh, man. Look.
Oh, and just for the listeners, my mom was number 5 back in 1990, October, was it?
Oh, my God, let's see. It was now,
Donna was number 4, Cindy was number 3, Who was number?
No. Debbie was number 3.
Debbie was number 3.
2.
Oh, and the first one was the one with the football players.
You remember? I know it's on.
Yeah.
Edward.
That was what the trauma that resulted in the recurring. I don't mean to break you down in a soundbite.
Please. No, don't run. Look. There is a positive out of all of this. Folks, for all of you that are listening, okay, I am working on a book. Hopefully I'll be having it out in the mid part of 2017, and it is entitled 10 Wife Times. Okay? 10
Oh, God.
And there's 10 chapters in it, and each chapter is titled. It has a title to it that reflects the wife who I was with and the wife I was living. Okay, and it takes on a very whimsical, comical frolic through my life as I turned into a chameleon, trying to adapt to the wife that I so took in as my partner. And it doesn't look at tragedies. It looks at the life experiences within each marriage. And like chapter number 1, Edward, was called Too Many, okay? Chapter 2, Little Cindy Lou Who, okay? Chapter 3 is Fuck the Duck, okay? Chapter 4, 3 simple letters, O-C-D. Number 5, The Good Witch of the West. Okay? All right? Which I loved your mother for, because one morning, Saturday morning, we wake up in bed and she just rolls over and looks at me and she says, "Honey, I need to tell you something. I'm a witch." Okay? I said, "What?" I'm waiting for her to twitch her nose and I turn into a frog, you know?
Yeah.
You know, she enlightened me with the Wiccan, and which I thought was really beautiful and just really, really sweet. And chapter, 6 was Gone Postal. Number 7, Well Grounded. Number 8 was Catherine, the Not So Great. And chapter 9, entitled To the End. Now, I say that to the end, not because of what happened to her, because of what she said to me, Edward. When I came up to Tehachapi, she's driving me around for the first time, and I looked at her and I said, "Carla, where does that road go?" I saw it slope down off of the freeway, then into the valley, and then going off into the mountains, disappearing. And I said, "Carla, where does that go?" And she's driving, and so sweetly she says and looks at me, "To the end," and she keeps on driving. Okay? So, chapter 9 is To the End, yeah. And chapter 10, I have to retitle that because we filed for divorce last month. So, I was going to title that The Best for the Last, right?
Right.
Well, I got to do some work on that.
Now, this is Judy 2, right?
Judy, yes. This is Judy number 2. Oh, my God. You know, yeah. Judy 1, Judy 2. See, Edward, I got to stop because I'm repeating names again, okay?
Here, let me, I got to disconnect from the Bluetooth here because we're having a little bit of technical difficulty. One moment. Okay.
Yeah.
Done with that. So here's what I'm thinking. Since we are on the air, I mean, keep an eye out for that book. What was the title? My 10 Wives? The Wives
it's called
of King Henry VIII, or what was it?
10 Wife Times.
10 Wife Times, got it. Okay, so in a couple years.
Yes, I'm looking at 2017, the first or middle part of it, yeah.
What I'm thinking is I've got a lot of people that are probably tuning in, and they're going, "Wow, Frater BT's got a podcast. What's he going to be talking about? Is he going to be talking about initiation? Is he going to be talking about Kabbalah? Is it Tree of Life? Is it geomancy? Is it Buddhism? He's got this Buddhism thing." So tell me, you became not just a Mason, but a Master Mason? There was a point where you were...
Yes.
Is there anything you are able to talk about publicly?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if not, I will deviate around the question and be kind and gentle. Yeah, sure, yeah.
Okay. So just briefly, tell me what that was like.
For me, the initiation into the Brotherhood, it was very enlightening. It gave me a better sense of direction to understand the basic tenets of being a Mason, which is open, it can be discussed, and it aligns with a more stronger society of which you live in, and to allow you to take responsibility more, having more of a conscious awareness of understanding that you are only as good as your word, okay?
Right.
And if you say it, you do it. And if you don't, well, you're going to have issues with the brothers in the,
Yeah, like William Morgan, yeah.
Right, yeah, okay. Say it, do it, and if not, then don't say it. And I follow and I subscribe by the three basic tenets of being a Mason in Freemasonry. And that is simply truth, justice, and relief. These are the three pillars.
Relief? With an F?
Okay, relief, right, relief. You give relief to somebody. Now, that goes back many, 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 many years ago, going back to George Washington's army and fighting off the British.
Mm-hmm.
Freemasonry goes back to like 1717, back in a pub in England, where they first formed and congregated their first meeting. So the problem arose during the Revolutionary War, George Washington being a Mason, and those that came over in the British Army, many of the officers were Masons. Well, of course, with the signal that they would give to George Washington and his men, he would give them relief as they were a fellow brother, but not so much where George Washington would be in danger. So we bring relief to those who are fellow Masons, but only to the point that we will not endanger or jeopardize our own standing in our families and community. We give them consideration above and beyond, okay, let's say.
Right.
But the concept of truth, you live by truth. Again, your word is saying who you are. And the justice is to say, all right, let's look at whatever happens with a just and keen eye. We follow by what the letter of the law is, but at the same time, we give relief where we can, which could be interpreted as mercy as well, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Those three basic tenets, again, allow you to stand upright in the community, take hold and take ownership of what it stands for. And again, you yourself will become a better member of society and society's needs in the community in which you reside in. It's reassuring. It lets you take hold of something that you believe in, and you're part of something much larger than yourself, and you understand what your individual role is within that larger unit of operation in our country. Okay.
Are you familiar with the Sefer Yetzirah?
No, and I probably should be.
Oh, okay. I was just curious. Yeah, I've heard a lot of, I've seen some documentaries and things. I remember in olden times, they probably don't do this as much anymore, maybe in certain states, but like the head mason would break the champagne bottle on the cornerstone of the church after it was built, and then they would name the city, and that was kind of how a lot of our cities got named,
Absolutely.
in that kind of ceremonious.
Yeah. Sure. We still do the cornerstone, setting of the cornerstone ceremony, in the public buildings, okay? And, yes, they do that ongoing here, but they don't name the building, after the Masonic Lodge.
Right, okay. I see.
But they do inscribe on the cornerstone as to who and how it was placed in at that date.
I see.
Yes. So that's what we do now.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So you're still actively doing that?
I haven't, I have to say in the last 2 years, I have not been as active as I have wanted to be.
Yeah, I can relate with that. I spent 18 years, so basically after the last time I saw you was, let's just say, we'll use my dad's funeral as a marker. That was, October of 93.
Yeah.
So I probably didn't see you much after that. But by November of 94, So this is just a year and a month after last time I saw you. Was when my mom and I joined the one of the Golden Dawn orders in a garage in Fontana, and became very actively involved, and basically were doing at least one or two things a week from that point forward. Right around the time I was 18, I was like starting to feel jaded. I didn't like the politics. I thought there was a lot of hypocrisy going on. My teacher in particular, they had like stolen his journal and made copies of it and passed it around in the inner school and discussed the things he was writing in his personal journal and things like that. So he was leaving, and so I was like, I'm out too. And so my mom said, well, I'm going to keep going. And so she built a temple in the house. And then she introduced me to this girl, and then I came back to the temple, and then she died. And then so it was me and this girl running the temple in the house. And then it burned down about 8 months later. And then I moved in with this old guy who.
Wait. What burnt down?
My old bedroom that had turned into a temple.
You know, Jennifer told me something briefly about that.
I was teaching once or twice a week out at the temple in the Inland Empire. I was teaching once a week here at the house. I was performing initiations basically every Saturday for a long time. We were sort of the most labor intensive of the Golden Dawn orders, for sure. A lot of politics had gone, we had undergone some splittings of dividing off. There's actually, there are several temples in existence today which I won't say owe their existence. That's something that is a different spin, which isn't my spin. But the original organization structure of those temples and the founders of those temples started out as people who were initiating people under the banner of the order that I was with.
I see.
So nobody wants to be thought of as, oh, you're a schismatic order, so everybody's like, no, like that order was one of many teachers I had, or whatever it is that, and so that being said, there's like 3 such orders in French Canada that I can think of off the top of my head. There's and I know the heads of all of them, and they may or may not be listening to this. Hi, Zach. Hi, Martin. Hi, And then there's the CSS, which I'm really proud of the CSS. That was right at the end in 2011 in March. All of the temples, except for the one in California, which was the one that was the original in that order, in the order I was in, all of those other temples, banded together and rejected the cult leader figure and created a new constitution, and they have a more democratically based system, and they're still in operation, and I have good relations with them, and they're very sweet. They're called the Golden Dawn Order of the Collegium ad Spiritum Sanctum.
Okay.
And then the original order, I stayed with that. I didn't go with the revolution. I stayed with the original one.
Off. You stayed with the,
And then, I kind of, was being stubborn about speaking up and all that kind of thing, and eventually the head of
wait, you were being stubborn, not speaking up?
No. I was rather than walking out, there was literally a ceremony where half the members got up and walked out at the beginning of the ceremony. I stayed in the temple and then stood up and yelled into the face of the man they were walking out on. So I stayed for another year and a half, and eventually that California temple also split from that guy and became known as the Golden Dawn Universum. I should know. I gave a friend of mine came up with the name, and then I made a Facebook page with that name, and then they named their order after it. So now there's 5, 6, 7. There's one in Texas that it was there's a lot of people that we all used to be in one little room, and now they're all running their own things, and I think overall it's a positive thing. It's kind of rogue and people in their garages as opposed to going to Masonic halls. Although the GDU is now renting a Masonic hall, and they have they're building a relationship with the Masons in that context.
Very nice, very nice. And I will tell you, whatever body you belong to, be it the Masonic, be it Temple Beth Shalom, be it some greater God, grace of whatever church, of whatever denomination is, you're always, through time, will find members of any governing body in a religious or philosophical form. You will see them have internal growth, and they split.
Yeah.
They split away. And it's like saying, okay, the baby birds have matured
Exactly.
in the nest. And
Exactly.
they're going to fly off now.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
And this is what I found out. We had a split in our Masonic Lodge 2 years ago.
Around the time you stopped going.
Right, exactly.
Well, there's an interesting story.
And
Would you mind commenting?
That will be another call.
Okay.
Right? I'll keep you guys in suspense. So, look. I gotta run. I gotta do my day job now.
Okay.
Right?
Well, thank you for calling in. It's been interesting, and feel free to call again, and we'll work it into another episode. I'll go ahead and make this episode 1. Would you care to name the episode?
Would I care? Yeah, I would like to name the episode Long Time in Coming.
Long time in
coming, right. Long time in coming.
They're going to think that sounds dirty.
All right, wait a minute. Let's go back. All right, oi gewalt, meine
I could call it that. I could, now that we've addressed it. So if they're thinking something dirty, we've called it out. The elephant in the room has been.
Yeah. Just get the right spelling of the word coming, all right?
Right.
Please.
Right. Not like Alan Cumming.
No, that's with an O-M. Yeah, all right.
Right. Okay,
right,
so this has been, are you officially Dr. Dennis David Turkish DDT?
DDT.
What is it?
No, you.
Are those your initials?
Yeah, no, you can call me Dr. Turkish.
And for my Armenian listeners, he's not actually Turkish. That was Ellis Island. They shortened his Russian name.
It is Russian.
He's no relation to anyone Turkish.
That's right. We have problems in the Ukraine, okay?
And to you Turkish listeners, I have no problem with Turks. It's cool. And to you Armenian listeners, I do have problems with Turks. They need to admit the genocide.
Cut the guns away.
Just everybody get along. I love you both, and I want everybody getting along in my house.
Absolutely. Edward, I love you. Long time in coming, all right?
Yeah. I love you too. We'll talk again.
Very
Okay.
good. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, there you have it. And thank you to, you had asked to be known as Dr. Turkish, so that's how I'm going to list you on the episode description. Thank you very much for calling, and we'll talk to you next time you call in. And for everyone else listening, now you have an example of how kind of freeform and free-flowing this is. You can call me up. We can talk about whatever. We can talk about the weather. I'll probably try to bring up something occulty just because I know a lot of the people listening, see the image with the lawman and that temple in the background and everything, and so they're expecting a certain kind of topic from this. But other than just having it at least involve a little bit of something, maybe spiritual or esoteric-y, Eastern or Western, it doesn't matter. If you have a question, call me. If you have something you want to talk about that you think that the listeners of this podcast ought to know about, call me. If you, just give me a call. It's 626-367-9254. Doesn't matter what time it is. If I don't pick up, just leave me a message, and I'll probably give you a call back. Thank you very much for listening. To the north and to the south, to the east and to the west, to the spirits of light among us and to the spirits below, we send out our reverent love and compassion. May all beings be happy. May all beings be serene. May all beings be in peace. Namaste.